Welcome to this video on publishing workbooks. Publishing a workbook means taking the file created in Tableau Desktop and sharing it with others via Tableau Server or Tableau Online. Publishing a workbook is done from inside Tableau Desktop by going to Server, Publish Workbook. Tableau remembers the most recent connection and will keep us logged in, but if we're not already logged in, we'll be prompted to do so. For online, we have this Quick Connect option. For server, this can be the server name or URL. What credentials you will enter depend on the method of user authentication set up by your organization. If we have access to multiple sites, we'll be prompted to select which one to publish to. Various options are available when publishing. For content management, a project can be selected. The default name is the name of the workbook, but this can be edited. We can add a description, and tags can be added to help users search for the workbook once it's been published. If the workbook includes an extract, a refresh schedule can be set based on the schedules established by the administrator. Specific sheets can be selected for publication. This can be useful if there are a lot of views in the workbook, but only a final dashboard or story needs to be published. Permissions may be established at the time of publishing. If permissions are not available, they may be locked to the project. For more information, check out the permissions video. We can also manage the data source, choosing to publish it as an embedded workbook or separately. And if relevant, we can embed credentials or require them to be provided. Finally, we have control over a few other options, such as if sheets show as tabs in the published workbook. We'll click Publish, and we're brought to the browser. Let's click into the dashboard. Once a workbook has been published, there are several ways it can be shared. The Share button offers a link for direct access as well as an embed code for inserting a live visualization in a web page. If these behaviors have been allowed, the view can be exported as an image or PDF, or the workbook can be downloaded and opened with Tableau Desktop. The content can also be subscribed to, either for yourself or others, so that an email is sent out on a preset schedule with a snapshot and a link to open it in the browser. In today's technology landscape, it cannot be assumed that a dashboard will only be consumed on a standard computer. The Device Designer feature in Tableau takes a master dashboard and lets you preview, and more importantly customize, what that dashboard would look like on a desktop, tablet, or phone. When we're working with a dashboard, the side pane shows a size and any sheets available to use in the dashboard, as well as dashboard objects. Right now, we're working on the default dashboard. It's important to know a couple things about the default dashboard. It acts as a template for other device layouts, so they don't have to start from scratch. Only sheets that are put onto the default dashboard will be available for the device-specific layouts. You can remove sheets from a layout, but only what is on the default can be used. When we're satisfied we have everything on the default that we might want, it's time to add a device layout. Click Device Preview to bring up the device preview bar. There's the device type with options including tablet, phone, default layout, and desktop laptop. Depending on what device is selected, the model has a list of common models and their dimensions. Note that the models are intended only as a guideline. There's also the option for screen orientation. Usually, tablets are landscape and phones are portrait. Finally, clicking Add Layout adds a layout for the selected device type. When a layout has been added, the first decision is size. Default keeps the size from the default dashboard. Fit All fits all the dimensions, like automatic sizing on the default. Fit Width fits the dashboard horizontally, but allows a hard-coded height. This means the user would scroll vertically to consume the entire dashboard. We can see the device frame, which depends on the model chosen, to see what content is clipped. A best practice is to have a peak at the bottom of the screen, indicating that there is more content to be seen by scrolling. We'll leave it on Fit All for now. Next, we can control the layout of the elements on the dashboard. The initial layout is based on the default. If we click Custom, we can edit the device layout directly. Note that the menu for the color legend here has an option, Remove from Tablet. Changes we make on this layout don't impact the default or other device layouts. We only see the content that is on the default dashboard. None of the other sheets in the workbook are available. What about if we wanted to add monthly profit trends? To access more vizzes from the tablet layout, we need to add them to the default first. Clicking back on Default at the top brings us to the master layout. We can now bring out monthly profit trends. And if we go back to Tablet, we see that that sheet is available on the side pane. It was not automatically added to the layout because we've already started customizing. Clicking Default reverts all changes and resyncs this tablet layout with the default layout. Now we can see how the default is essentially a template. We got the Trends viz added, but we lost what we did with our color legend. Let's undo that and simply drag out monthly profit trends. We can change how our filter is displayed, and let's make our map a bit bigger. Okay, this seems to be about what we want. Let's see how it looks on other types of tablets. Clicking through the model shows us the preview for various tablets. Do note that model device frames are estimates, and additionally, the device preview may not account for the app Chrome or toolbars, so make sure to allow for that space. Final visuals may be different once the dashboard is published and viewed on that device, so it's always good to check the published dashboard on relevant devices. We're happy with our tablet layout, but we know people will want this dashboard on phones too. To add another layout, select the device type we want. Here we'll pick Phone, and then click Add Layout. We now see Phone under the default layouts at the top. We'll set the size to fit width and click Custom so we can edit. We'll remove the trend lines and maybe move the map down to the bottom and adjust the size. Now we have a version of this dashboard that will work well on a phone. Note that the default layout is the one that will be served up for any device that does not have a specified layout.
Welcome to the introductory video to the JavaScript API. This video is part of a video series teaching you from ground level on how to use the JavaScript API. After you watch this video, feel free to watch any of the other videos. To follow along with this video and the other videos in this series, you can grab the companion content, which contains sample code as well as slide decks at github.com/tableau/JSAPI videos. Grabbing the companion content is not necessary for this video, but feel free to do so that you can have that material for later. Let's talk a little bit about the goals for this video. At the end of this video, you should be able to understand when and why people choose to use the Tableau JavaScript API. From there, we'll give you a high-level understanding of how do you enable the JavaScript API and how does it work. And we'll also get you started on using the JavaScript API. After that, we'll give you some resources on where to go next to find out more of the details and more of the intermediate techniques on using the JavaScript API, as well as where to find documentation, where to ask for help, etc. So why would you choose to use the JavaScript API? Well, let's say you have a website. And you have, of course, a lot of clever content that you've written for that website. Now you decide you want a Tableau dashboard or visualization inside of your website. Well, you can already do that with the default embed code. That is, you can go to any published Tableau dashboard, click the Share button, highlight the embed code, copy it, and paste it into your HTML page. That's all it takes to do a basic embed into your website. So why would you choose to use the JavaScript API when that requires you to write a little bit more code? Well, the reason is that it enables a deep integration between the content of your website and the dashboard that lives inside of it. For example, you can have your content filter, switch tabs, select marks, and otherwise control the dashboard that is embedded inside of the website. But you can also enable what we call two-way communication from the dashboard and your website's content. The other side of the communication is that your website can respond to information or events that are happening inside of the dashboard. The result is a robust integration that will impress your users in how you're controlling the dashboard and responding to events inside of it. Let's take a look at a few examples of this kind of integration. Now, before I do that, I'll show you one more example of a basic embed. So here we are with a website. It's got content outside of the dashboard, in this case, the header and the footer, a typical modern-looking website, and there's a dashboard living inside. So if that's all you need, again, you don't need to use the JavaScript API. But here's an example of a dashboard that is living inside of a website in a similar way. And instead of the default way of switching from tab to tab, this website using the JavaScript API allows custom controls to switch from dashboard to dashboard. This website also allows the end user to control the filtering of the dashboard with buttons that are outside of the dashboard. So here are some custom filtering buttons that the user can click. Clearly, these are not Tableau's default quick filters, and this allows a more custom experience for filtering. The same applies for this date filter up above, which is not built in Tableau, but is able to control the filtering of the dashboard down below. As I said, this is a two-way street, which means here's an embedded dashboard, and the user can do normal things on the dashboard, maybe filter to some performance analytics. Let's look at employees who were rated 4 this year. Now they've found a few employees that they would like to take from this dashboard and go explore further elsewhere. Well, they can click this plus button, which is inside of the dashboard, and maybe they'll click a couple. And as they do that, the people they are clicking now appear outside of the dashboard. And they can even click Run Audit, bring this into a completely different system. And now the integration between your backend database or other systems, or just the interface of your website, is responding to events and data from your dashboard. Now, we always like to point out that at the moment you have programmatic control over your dashboard, it opens up a world of possibilities. Here's an example of someone who took a Tableau dashboard, added some JavaScript API, and made a game out of it that would obviously not be possible without programmatic control or the JavaScript API. So the user can control the snake in a familiar snake game, all inside of a Tableau dashboard. And of course, when you lose, you get to see yourself compared to other top scores in a Tableau bar chart. So once you enable the JavaScript API, the creative possibilities are really only limited by your creativity. So we've seen why people would use the JavaScript API and taken a look at a few examples. Let's talk about getting started with the JavaScript API. What do you need? Well, first of all, you need a Tableau visualization, of course, and this needs to live on Tableau Server, online or public. You also will need a text editor of some sort. Throughout this series, you will see me use Visual Studio Code, which is a nice free text editor. But you can use whichever text editor you prefer, for example, Sublime, Atom, any text editor designed for code editing. So let's talk about how the JavaScript API works and how you enable it. First of all, you need three main components. You need Tableau Server, you need your web page's HTML, and you need your web page's JavaScript file. You'll have a dashboard or visualization or workbook published to Tableau Server online or public. And you'll also need to use this tableau-2.js file that lives on Tableau Server. Now let me make this clear. You don't need to write this JS file. It's already been written for you. It's what enables the API, and it already lives on every installation of Tableau Server, Tableau Online, or Tableau Public. But what you'll do with that tableau-2.js is you'll include it inside of your web page's HTML with a script file, a script tag, and that'll enable the API. The next thing you'll do is you'll take your JavaScript, which includes your custom API code, and add that to your web page as well. Now, what's in this your JavaScript.js? It, of course, has your app's code for controlling all of the things outside of the Tableau dashboard. But using the JavaScript API, you'll write some embed code. The result of that is that the dashboard will be embedded inside of your web page. And finally, you'll write some JavaScript API functions that interact with the visualization, enabling that robust integration that we talked about. Now let's actually take a look at the code required to do this. Here's your webpage.html, and here are all the components I talked about. On lines 3 and 4, you see the JavaScript file, tableau-2.js, and I'm loading it from public.tableau.com. I'm also loading my JavaScript file called yourjavascript.js. This is my custom JavaScript file where I will write the embed code. And finally, one thing I haven't talked about yet is this empty div. This is just a div with an ID that I need to say where does my viz, where should it live inside of my HTML. Here's the JavaScript file called yourjavascript.js. We need our viz object, which is where we'll access the API. And when the HTML loads, we'll write the embed code. The embed code includes a variable called visDiv. This is that empty div that I talked about in the HTML. We have our viz URL, which is simply the URL to our Tableau dashboard. And we have our options object, which includes things such as width, height, and you can also do things like decide whether you would like to hide the toolbar or not, etc. So we have those three variables, and those are the three ingredients for actually loading the dashboard. To do that, we say viz equals new tableau.viz, passing in those three ingredients that we talked about. The result of that is, if I hop back on over to Google Chrome here is my Tableau dashboard, and if I refresh it, you'll see that I have that Tableau logo outside of the viz, but inside of it, I've loaded my tree map into the website. So I've enabled the API, I've embedded a dashboard into my website, and now I'm ready to start writing interactions to control the visualization and listening to events inside of my dashboard. For those things, see the other videos in our series. For now, though, I'll leave you with a few other resources that you can check out. First of all, developers.tableau.com. This is a one-stop shop for all of your API and extensibility needs using Tableau. Specifically, you'll find the link to the JavaScript API developer docs. You'll also find a hands-on introductory tutorial, which will get you started with some of the other things in the video, using the API, such as controlling the viz, switching from tab to tab, etc. And a really great resource is the community forum. The link from the developer portal will give you access to the developers community forum, which is a really great place to talk to other Tableau developers, ask questions about APIs, etc. One last resource is if you go to youtube.com, type into the search bar #datadev, you'll see a playlist of all of our API and extensibility related videos, including this series and a series on Web Data Connector and more to come. Finally, once again, a link to the GitHub page, github.com/tableau/JSAPI videos. You can grab this slide deck that I've been going off of, as well as the 2 files that I showed, and all of the files for the rest of this video series. Thanks for joining us. See you on the other videos.